If you have ongoing exposure to controlling people, it's a virtual certainty that you're going to experience blurry boundaries, which is why I've created the extensive online course called This Is Me, Establishing Boundaries with the Controllers in Your Life. There's a link below that will give you all of the details, and I hope that you would find it therapeutic. Undoubtedly, many of you have heard the notion that when you engage with narcissistic individuals, you're engaging with toxic people. Let's slow down on that one here today and figure out what does that mean and how does it impact on you? And specifically, are there some indicators in the way that you live your life that shows that you have been negatively impacted by the toxins that a narcissist brings to you? Now, when we talk about a toxin, we're talking about poison, basically. We're talking about something that's damaging, that's harmful to whatever is being infested. And so when we look at that in the psychological sense, we can look at all of the ingredients of narcissism, and we can see that these are ingredients or elements that they bring to the relationship that truly are damaging. You know, for example, when somebody is highly controlling, that is not an uplifting kind of ingredient, but that's what narcissists bring. Or when they have that self-impressed notion to the extent that they step over you so they can elevate themselves, that's damaging. Or they have a low level of empathy and they don't really put much priority or premium on truly connecting at the heart level. They're willing to use you and manipulate you and exploit. They think of themselves as being superior to you. They will not let you know who they really are, but they're constantly living behind a false front. They're very defensive. All of that is corrupt. All of that is toxic. It brings damage to the relationship. Now, unfortunately, it's not like you're going to be able to sit down and talk to that person and say, let me talk about the toxins that you bring, because they don't listen to you, and that's part of the toxicity. But I want you to ask, when I've been exposed to all of those kind of characteristics, what happens to me? What does it do on the inside? And are there some indicators that I carry with me that says, this toxicity is just going with me and I need to remove all of those from myself? Well, I want to point out 5 primary toxins that I want you to be very aware of. And so let's take a look at these and figure out what the implications are, because I want you to be able to detox psychologically from what the narcissists have done to you. Now, the first toxin I want you to look at is what we would refer to as your walking on eggshells feeling that you carry. You know what I'm talking about there. How many times when you're in the presence of that narcissistic person have you thought, I got to be real careful about what I say? And so you're very guarded and measured and calculated in how you present yourself. You kind of want to check and see what kind of mood are they in, because I don't want to disrupt them. The last time I brought up a topic, boy, that didn't go very well. And when you have that walking on eggshells feeling, you realize what it does is it creates the toxin that robs you of your spontaneity. It's like, I'm afraid to be me and just kind of show up and say, hey, here I am. It's like, no, being me isn't quite, it's not a very safe thing for me to do. I have to make sure that it blends with that person. That's not healthy, and it's not good for you. A second toxin that we can watch for is when you go into a pattern of emotional suppression. How many times, because of your presence with that or the encounters with that narcissist, have you thought, there are so many things inside of me that I'd like to talk about? Never mind. Or I have all these emotions that I'm carrying. Oh, if I shared it, it would just create more problems than it would solve. And you find yourself holding in and holding in and holding in. And in doing so, it just creates this buildup of stress and strain. You know what happens when you have that ongoing suppression of your real self and your emotions? Basically, it sets you up for characteristics like depression or anxiety or bitterness. And the more you suppress, then it creates that. And so it depletes you of your sense of spontaneity and openness. It's like, that's a toxin, and that's an indicator that that person has gotten to you, and we need to remove that. Or a third indicator that says that the toxins are there on the inside is you can feel conflicted as you engage with other people beyond just that narcissist. As an example, and this is an easy one for me to give. Let's say somebody's married and the person they're married to is a very, very difficult, impossible, overbearing person. But then you engage with somebody in public and they say, oh yeah, your wife or your husband, oh, what a nice person. He was so friendly the last time. Or you're at a social function and you just had an argument in the car before going there, but then you have to get out and put on a smile and act like everything's okay. Or it may be that it's in a work setting. Where there's an individual there that it just makes things difficult for you, and you have to work with them, and maybe your signature is on their work with it. And it's like, well, I don't want to let everybody else know what's going on. And so you feel like you're being phony as you engage with other individuals. The toxin has gotten in to where it depletes you of your sense of authenticity. It's like, I don't even want people to know what I have to put up with on a day in and day out basis. And it wears you out. Or a fourth toxin that you can have is that you constantly feel like your boundaries have been compromised. And when we talk about boundaries, we're talking about having a definition about who you are and who you want to be, what your priorities and preferences and interpretations and opinions are. Narcissists are famous for stepping all over that. It's like, no, you don't need to do that. Just look at me, I'll tell you. And when you do try to establish your uniqueness, then they want to snuff that out. And so we refer to that as blurry boundaries. And before you know it, you get into an argumentative mode. You react to them and they bring out the worst and you become argumentative. And so you wind up going into codependent patterns. And when it's all said and done, it's like, I do not like what happens when my boundaries have been violated and what it does to me because I have such a hard time getting that back in the place where it needs to be. And then a fifth toxin that you want to watch for is just the ongoing buildup of anger. And when I say anger, tension, frustration, annoyance, irritability, impatience, and you wind up carrying that emotion to the extent that other scenarios come along and you snap or you get more agitated and that other person who doesn't have anything to do with the narcissist is thinking, well, what did I do? And the answer is, I'm just worn out. And it's called displacement. You wind up placing some of your frustration onto innocent people or circumstances or events, and you find yourself less and less effective because of all of the suppressed emotion and the buildup of the anger that's there. That's what I'm talking about when I say that narcissists can have a very toxic impact on you. I've had so many people who have gotten away from that narcissist, whether it's in a marriage or a family setting or a work setting or friendship, and they feel like they can breathe. It's like, good. I'm cleansing myself of all of the impact there. Let's recognize when you've been impacted by the narcissist where there is that poison on the inside and you feel like you've been damaged, I'm hoping that you can examine your motives and your beliefs about who you are with some very basic questions like, who am I and what do I stand for? And I'm hoping that as you come to some conclusions there, you'll think, oh, I do stand for the things that are right. I'm responsible, I'm reliable, I'm reasonably likable, and I try to do things in a way that lets people know that they can count on me. I remember so well, one woman, it was about a year after she had gone through a divorce, she spoke with me and said, when all is said and done, I think I'm a really nice person. As if that was a brand new revelation. She had been so beaten down and had that poison put inside of her mind that you're not good and you don't measure up. And as she began pulling back and getting away, thinking, no, wait a minute, what I bring really is good. I loved it when she just said, I think I'm a really nice person. I hope that you can think that. Now, what that means is you may have to examine how much time you're going to spend with that person who puts those toxins in front of you. It's like, I can't really afford to be with people who say, here, have some more of my poison. And so it may be that you'll need to pull back and instead focus on ingredients like assertiveness and firmness and decisiveness and follow through on your good, healthy initiatives. I hope that you can determine, separate from what the narcissist may think, I'm worth the effort. And I believe that it is appropriate for me to stand up for who I am. Now, as you do this and as you pull away from the toxic person, you kind of go through your emotional detox, expect a backlash. The narcissism is going to let you skip away with no kind of repercussion whatsoever. They're going to come at you and say, no, let me put some more toxins back into you. Let me tell you how awful you are. And let me run a smear campaign. And I'm hoping you can recognize, you can throw that out, but I'm not ingesting that anymore. When we talk about a person that's gone through a nutritional detox, we talk about them bringing wholesome foods into their body, or nutrition, or something without all the additives. They want to be natural in the way that they engage. Let's take that same mindset toward yourself psychologically. I'm going to bring a wholesomeness into my system. And if that person wants to try to pull me back in, it's like, no, I'm on to you. I see that what you bring really is not good and healthy, and I'm on Team Healthy. And on Team Healthy, we stand for characteristics like DRC. Dr. C stands for dignity, respect, and civility. That's what I stand for. So here on Team Healthy, it's like no toxins allowed here. We want to just bring in good and clean ingredients. And I'm hoping that's something that you can hold on to from the inside out. And that non-toxic way of living is something that truly defines you. I do hope this gives you some good food for thought and some insight and some things to concentrate on. If you've not already hit that subscribe button, I would strongly encourage you to do so and hit that notification bell that goes along with it. We'll keep more videos coming your way. If you have a need for some sort of therapy, then I would encourage you to seek that out where you are, or if you would prefer, we have a sponsor. And there's a link below with licensed professional therapists, and they can provide a service. You can pick from them who would be a good match for you. And the reason I've aligned myself with them is because I've had good feedback, and counseling and therapy is something that I've been referring to my entire career. And so there's a link below that can take you to that. In addition, we have courses that can help you out in a therapeutic kind of way. My course, This Is Me, it's all about setting boundaries with the controller. Free to be, it's about rediscovering who you need to be despite the controllers. In addition, we have our webinars, we have my books and other resources below. Thank you for letting me be on your journey with you. I want you to have a toxin-free way of living, and I hope that you're able to pull back. If you can't completely get away from them, then at least don't ingest what they throw at you, and spend as much time as you can with people who do appreciate what you have. And most of all, I hope you practice self-care so that you can have steadiness and firmness in the way that you engage with others. Because then as that occurs and as that it becomes more consistent, it allows you to find your place of peace.